Welcome to this class. Thank you for joining us in our series on a revelation of hell. We're discussing the true doctrine of hell, whether or not it's in the Bible or not. Join us each Tuesday and Thursday night at 7 p.m. for these classes. We look forward to having you, and God bless you as we welcome back again to our study. We welcome you, and we thank the Lord for each and every one of you who is studying with us this study on the doctrine of hell. Today I'm going to discuss with you in a brief lesson. We're going to see if we can do this lesson in 10 minutes. But you should learn from this lesson how to explain the phrase weeping and gnashing of teeth. You should be able to explain the phrase outer darkness. And so that is going to be the objective of our lesson, is to show in the scriptures what we have found, that the phrase weeping and gnashing of teeth has nothing to do with hell, and is not talking about the hell, the traditional ideal of hell that was passed down to us from Plato and from the Catholics. It is not pertaining to that. And the words outer darkness is not pertaining to hell either. The way those terms got that impression was when those who hated the Jews, in the first century, there was a group of theologians who hated the Jews. I mean, it was a ton of them, a lot of them. I can start calling names, but this is only supposed to be a 10-minute presentation. But they hated the Jews so badly that when they wrote their commentaries, they wrote them in what we call a new kind of a perspective called replacement theology, where they took the passages that were pertaining to the Jews and made them as if they were pertaining to the whole world. And they picked up topics like eternal fire and judgment from, they took those and forced those concepts into their interpretations of these certain passages. And all of those who were involved in it had a background of hell from Plato and philosophy. And so with them having the background of hell and them having the background of paganism, they couldn't help but to misinterpret those scriptures. And then they sent that misinterpretation down through the Catholic Church, down to the Reformation, the Reformers, from the Reformers to the Great Awakening, and on into the latter days churches like the Pentecostals, Charismatics. And so that's how we got that weeping and gnashing of teeth, a misconception of being of hell. But in the original passages where the phrase weeping and gnashing of teeth were used, it meant an anger, an emotional anger, a disappointment. In all of the scriptures in the Bible where it is used, it does not mean physical pain. It does not mean torture, that the person who is weeping and gnashing of teeth is in torture, physical torture, or torture in fire. That is no place in the Bible. That was only put there, and we've got that impression, and we've really been misimpressed about that. The weeping and gnashing of teeth is found in the book of Acts 7:54, where the Sanhedrin was weeping and gnashing their teeth against Stephen. There was anger. Job talked about God gnashing his teeth in anger against him. David, that's in Job 16:9. David in Psalms 35:16 said God gnashed his teeth. God was angry at him. All right. In Psalms, it talks about the wicked will pass away. And he said they'll gnash their teeth and pass away. So it does not mean a long stay in hell like the pagan church fathers want us to think. Now, in the New Testament passages where we get this from, and where we try to force the ideal of eternal fire and pain in it, are found in Matthew 22:13, where it talks about the uh, the king of the house, who invited everybody to the wedding feast, which was well lit at nighttime, and those who did not have on the proper garment were taken and cast out of the wedding feast, and they were cast into what they call the outside, where it was dark, into what they call outer darkness. And so that's the idea of the outer darkness. The outer darkness is the place where the Jews are when they're cast out from their promised place, or their place of where they supposed to enjoy the promises of Abraham. And so they're cast into outer darkness, out where they are going to be weeping and gnashing their teeth. Now, this is not hell. This is actually the Jews' rejected place, where they are because they have rejected their opportunity. All right, and the wedding feast is all of the blessings that the Jews had, and them being the chosen people of God and all of that. So the weeping and gnashing of teeth there is the regret and the remorse of the Jews for their loss of place. All right, and then in Matthew 13:42, he said, he talked about the Jews. He's talking about this is restricted to the Jews. This is not to the whole world. When he talked in Matthew 13:42, he talked about how the context of it was that the Gentiles had come and asked for healing, and this centurion, who was a Gentile, he had asked for healing, and Jesus wasn't even ministering to the Gentiles then. He was ministering only to the Jews, but he did a special case where he healed the centurion's son, and then Jesus told the centurion, "I haven't seen all of the faith, any faith like this in all of Israel." So he began to separate out the Jews from the Gentiles and say that the Jews are not believing, and they're going to miss out on it, and they're going to be cast out. He called the Jews the sons of the kingdom. He differentiated them. The reaping and gnashing of teeth, and I repeat again, is about the Jews and their loss of place and the regret of it. And that's what it's about. It's not about eternal fire or hell or anything like that. Okay? That was only put in there by replacement theologians to deceive us, to make us think that there was a hell and a fire, just like it was taught by Plato and by the Egyptians and all of those Babylonians and stuff who had a fire god. So it was their effort to make our God into a mean fire god like theirs. So they took scriptures like this to say that our God put somebody down in fire for eternity, and they were weeping and gnashing their teeth all throughout eternity. That's the impression they want you to get, and that's the lie that has been told to us. But the actual theme of the Matthew 13 is Jesus rebuking the Jews and telling them how they missed their place, and they're going to be rejected, and they're going to be put out. And so in the term, let's see here. Let's go to the next one. That's Matthew 22:13. Let's go to Luke. Luke 13:28. Now, let me say you something about Luke. What you need to know that the replacement theologians didn't want you to know was that all of the parables that Jesus had spoken were spoken pertaining to the Jews. All right? He was not talking about the church. He was not preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, but he was making his appeal as a prophet to the Jews. The theme of the entire book of St. Matthew's is Jesus, the rejected king. And Jesus is talking in Matthew's about how the Jews rejected him, and then the consequences of that rejection is going to be their remorse and their grief, which is very expansive if you really break it down, but we only have 10 minutes for this one. And so, but the grief and the remorse is expressed and described by the weeping and gnashing of teeth and being outside. All right, so and now in Luke 13:18, one of the themes of Luke, the major theme of Luke is to show that the switch between the Jews who are what they call rich in the promises of Abraham and the law, being the chosen people of God, the switch that's going to come between the Jews and the Gentiles who are considered the poor and the beggars. And so here in Luke is going to show, he's trying to show that on the final analysis of things, and that's the reason why he brought up the death. Jesus talked about the death in the rich man and Lazarus. It was actually on the final end of things. That's what death meant there. It was a parable. But in here, Luke uses the final end of things, going to show the final end of things that the Gentiles are going to be in, probably by way of the church and those things like that. And the Jews are rejected, are going to be out. And so here is what he says in Luke 13:28. It says, when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the people in the kingdom of God, but you yourselves cast out, then you'll have weeping and gnashing of teeth. He's talking to the Jews, that when this switch occurs, when you see the words Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's talking specifically about the Jews. It's not talking about heaven, but it's talking about the vision of, because the Jews' promises are all earthbound. All of the covenants and all of the promises of Abraham, if you read them all, they're all about the land, they're about the lineage. It's nothing about heaven. So when you talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're talking about their earthly lineage here on the earth. And so this casting out of darkness is going to be here on the earth, whether it be by them expressed at the Wailing Wall, or by the captivities that they experienced, the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, the Holocaust, the tribulation period, and the Wailing Wall, just them being out when they should have been in, is basically the point that Jesus is making. It is the result of them rejecting him. And so in Luke 13:28, he said, you yourselves cast out. He's talking to the Jews there. You yourselves out while everybody else is in. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, and you're going to really have weeping and gnashing of your teeth because of the remorse of the loss. And so that's the concept of weeping and gnashing of teeth. It is the remorse of the Jews because their place of loss. In none of these passages that I read to you was it talking about eternal fire and hell, and that was not Jesus' topic in any of these. But in all of the topics, all of the passages and contexts, Jesus was speaking to the Jews about them losing their place. And that's what weeping and gnashing of teeth means. That's what outer darkness means. It does not mean that people are going to be burning in fire forever and forever and forever. But that's what the replacement theologians who hated the Jews and wanted to erase the Jews' significance from the Bible by saying that God didn't even care enough about them to even come after them. And the replacement theologians, they hate the Jews so that they don't even believe in the millennial. St. Augustine was the father of replacement theology, of what they call amillennialism. The millennial is the greatest promise to the Jews. But the replacement theologians, they made up this replacement theology based upon, because of the hatred of the Jews, they want to erase the significance of the Jews from the scriptures. And they put this on the church and sent it into the church and put what we call Platonic theory in there of the burning fires and hells and pits and things like that, which was taught way before Jesus came on the scene, was not taught by Jesus. Jesus never said the word hell out of his mouth. In all of those cases where Jesus said hell, it was put in there by the translators. The original word was Gehenna, which was talking about the same thing he was talking about in these passages, warning the Jews about the judgment of God on them and how they're going to end up outside when they could have been inside. Outside, looking on the inside at Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Outside, just like represented by the Pharisees and the rich man, looking over a great gulf, separating them from their promises. They would see the poor man in the bosom of Abraham, which is a meaning of the Gentiles. None of these parables are teaching heaven and hell like we teach it in the New Testament. These parables are all to the Jews, and they have been washed down, and their true meaning have been hidden from us by medieval Catholic theologians, who many were not even saved. They were Platonic, they were Gnostic, and it was their aim to eliminate or to hide the true intent of these passages, which were strictly written to the Jews, and make us think that they were talking to everybody about the eternal fire of all the wicked in the world. So thank you very much. That's the meaning of the term weeping and gnashing of teeth and outer darkness. God bless you, and thank you for your attention. God bless you. Get the book for this series, Origins and Sources of Hell, by Dr. Lawrence Brown Jr. We cover all of the scriptures in the Bible that are claimed to be used as scriptures to support the doctrine of hell. Join us, get the book, and you'll see why we say that hell is from Plato and not from the apostles.